After 60 years of intense study, one of history's greatest minds uncovered a terrifying truth about why we destroy ourselves, and his answer will unsettle you to your core. For decades, we've looked outside ourselves for the source of humanity's downfall: catastrophic wars, environmental collapse, the ever-looming threat of technology gone rogue. But what if the real danger isn't an external force, but something far more insidious, lurking within the very depths of our own minds? This isn't just a theory, it's the chilling conclusion of Carl Jung, a pioneering Swiss psychiatrist who dedicated 6 decades of his life to unraveling the most disturbing question of all: why do humans self-destruct? Get ready, because what you're about to hear will change how you view humanity, and perhaps yourself. Carl Jung wasn't just another doctor. He was an explorer of the human soul. Imagine a man who, instead of gazing through a telescope at distant stars, peered inward into the swirling cosmos of the human psyche. For 60 long years, from the dawn of the 20th century through 2 world wars and the Cold War's chilling embrace, Jung meticulously collected dreams, studied myths, analyzed patients, and delved into ancient texts, all to understand the fundamental forces that shape us. He wasn't interested in superficial problems. He wanted to get to the root of our most profound struggles, especially our seemingly inexplicable drive toward chaos and self-annihilation. What he discovered, after a lifetime of relentless inquiry, defied conventional wisdom. His primary conclusion, the one that stands as a stark warning to us all, is that the ultimate threat to humanity does not come from external forces. No invading alien fleet, no super virus, no asteroid hurled from space. No, the threat is far more intimate, far more insidious, because it originates entirely from within us. Jung realized that humanity's deepest and most persistent threat comes not from outside, but from the untamed wilderness of the unconscious mind. Picture a vast, submerged continent beneath the calm surface of our everyday awareness, teeming with forgotten memories, primal instincts, and raw emotions. This is the unconscious, and for Jung, it's not merely a storage locker for repressed thoughts. It's a dynamic, living entity that holds immense power, capable of pushing individuals and entire societies towards self-sabotage, often without our conscious knowledge. It's like a powerful undercurrent, silently guiding the ship of our lives, sometimes towards safe harbor, and sometimes straight onto the rocks. At the heart of this internal drive, this mysterious force pushing us towards our own ruin, Jung identified a key psychological phenomenon, one he called the shadow. The shadow isn't some spooky, supernatural presence. It's a very real, very human part of you and me. Think of it as the psychological blind spot, the hidden basement of our personality, where we banish everything we deem unacceptable, shameful, or simply too inconvenient to acknowledge. It's the collection of all the denied instincts, the raw, uncivilized urges, the fears, the weaknesses, and even the undeveloped positive traits we refuse to own. When we were children, we learned what was. The parts of ourselves that didn't fit neatly into those boxes, the aggressive impulses, the selfish desires, the unseemly jealousies, we didn't get rid of them. Oh no. We simply tucked them away, deep into the unconscious, hoping they'd disappear. But the unconscious doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. And here's the unsettling truth, the consequence of non-confrontation, of persistently denying and ignoring this dark side, is that the shadow doesn't wither away. Instead, it grows stronger, festering in the darkness, gathering power, waiting for its moment to emerge, often with devastating results. It's like leaving a small, gnawing problem unaddressed. Eventually, it becomes a monstrous, unavoidable crisis. When we fail to confront and integrate this powerful, unacknowledged part of ourselves, the shadow doesn't just sit there quietly. It bursts forth, often in destructive and terrifying ways. On a personal level, this unintegrated shadow manifests in countless forms of self-sabotage. Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating the same toxic relationship patterns even though you know they're bad for you? Why you suddenly lash out at a loved one for no apparent reason, only to regret it instantly? Why you embark on a promising path only to find yourself inexplicably undermining your own success? That's the shadow at work. It appears as addiction, clinging to destructive habits that numb the pain of its repression. It can surface as crippling depression, a heavy cloak that smothers vitality. It drives reckless behavior, a desperate, unconscious attempt to feel alive, or perhaps to punish oneself. And it relentlessly sabotages relationships, pushing away those who get too close to our hidden flaws, creating a lonely island of self-imposed isolation. But the shadow isn't just a personal demon. Its collective manifestation is far more terrifying. On a collective level, when enough individuals in a society refuse to confront their internal darkness, that darkness spills out into the world. It fuels war, not just as geopolitical chess moves, but as an explosion of collective aggression born from unacknowledged rage. It ignites violence, turning neighbors into enemies. It breeds ideological extremism, where one group demonizes another, convinced of their own pristine goodness, while projecting all evil onto the... Think of the great atrocities of history, the genocides, the inquisitions, the mass persecutions. These weren't just political maneuvers. They were eruptions of unintegrated collective shadow, where an entire populace became possessed by its own repressed darkness. Jung made a chilling insight that explained why these collective destructive acts happen, the projection of our own shadow onto others. We can't stand to look at our own capacity for cruelty, selfishness, or irrationality. It makes us uncomfortable. So, what do? We point a finger. We take everything we despise and deny within ourselves, bundle it up, and dump it onto another person, another group, another nation. Suddenly, they are the embodiment of evil. They are the problem. They are the ones who deserve our hatred and scorn. This projection is not just a major source of personal conflict, it's the very engine of mass self-destruction. Think about genocide, where an entire group of people is dehumanized, stripped of their individuality, and branded as the source of all societal ills. Or consider our current environmental crisis. Is it not a collective failure to acknowledge our own destructive impact, our greed, our short-sightedness, projecting the blame onto abstract forces or future generations? Nations project their repressed darkness onto. They become the blank screen onto which we dump our own unacknowledged barbarism, allowing us to feel righteous even as we commit unspeakable acts. Now, here's Jung's most unsettling insight, the one that truly turns our understanding of self-destruction on its head. He proposed that at its deepest level, self-destruction is not merely senseless chaos or pure evil. Instead, it is a perverted form of spiritual longing. This might sound utterly bizarre, but stay with me. Jung believed that humans possess an innate, powerful drive toward wholeness, a deep, unconscious yearning to become complete, to integrate all the disparate parts of ourselves into a unified being. This is often called the. However, in our modern world, we often live with one-sided worldviews. We become overly rational, dismissing anything that can't be measured or logically explained. We become overly materialistic, chasing external possessions and achievements, convinced they will bring happiness. In doing so, we block that innate drive toward wholeness. We ignore the spiritual, the emotional, the instinctual aspects of ourselves. When this profound spiritual longing is blocked, the unconscious rebels. It can't stand the imbalance. It seeks resolution, and if the conscious mind refuses to engage in healthy integration, the unconscious will force the issue. It pushes individuals and societies toward crisis, towards breakdown, towards a point where the old, one-sided ways of living simply cannot continue. Self-destruction, in this context, becomes a desperate, violent, unconscious means to force transformation. It's like a patient whose body is riddled with disease, and the only way for the system to purge itself is through a violent fever or a painful surgical procedure. The process is often excruciating, marked by immense suffering, tragedy, and loss. Yet, from the perspective of the psyche, it aims for renewal. It's as if the soul, denied its natural path to growth, burns down its own house in the hope that something new and more complete can rise from the ashes. As Jung famously put it, it sounds paradoxical, almost macabre, but it suggests that even in our darkest moments of self-inflicted pain, there lies a desperate, twisted attempt to heal, to evolve, to find a lost sense of purpose. Jung's message, while incredibly stark and unsettling, is not one of despair. It is a profound warning, yes, but also a radical call to action. He believed that the very survival of humanity depends on our ability to integrate our shadow. What does that mean? It doesn't mean becoming evil or giving in to our darkest impulses. It means consciously acknowledging our full capacity for both good and evil, for love and hatred, for creation and destruction. It means bringing the repressed contents of our unconscious to light, examining them, understanding them, and finding healthy ways to express or transmute them rather than letting them fester in the dark. Failure to integrate our personal and collective shadow leads to continued outward projection. We will continue to see enemies where there are none, fueled by our own unacknowledged darkness. We will continue to build societies based on division and fear, inevitably resulting in destroying others and, ultimately, ourselves. Jung argued that conscious self-awareness is not just a nice-to-have for personal well-being. It is absolutely crucial for our collective survival. This isn't about superficial self-help or chasing fleeting happiness. This awareness must delve into the hidden, often terrifying truths about who we really are, not just focusing on our virtues and strengths, but courageously facing our flaws, our prejudices, our capacity for cruelty. It's about looking into the abyss within and understanding that it is a part of us, so we can stop projecting it onto the world and heal the deepest wounds of humanity. It is the hardest work we can do, but according to Jung, it is the only path to avert our own self-destruction. If this exploration into the depths of the human psyche intrigued you, dive deeper into these complex ideas by watching our next video right here.